on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. Joining us now on the Bobby V's hotline, talk about the Trooper First Class Aaron Pelletier benefit softball game coming up at Duncan Park. Tickets are on sale right now on the website. You go on yardgoats.com, you hit events, and it'll come up for August 24th. 2 to 5 o'clock will be the softball game. Good friend and former commander of the state police, Stavros Mellekas, joins us now. Stav, how you doing, buddy?
How's it going, Rob? Thank you for having me on. And first of all, thank you very much for helping out Aaron's family and supporting the state police. It's just outstanding. Thank you.
No, and you know how I support the state police and all the local PDs. My brother was a fireman for almost 30 years in Southington, and when former Sergeant State Trooper Chris Ganser, who's also a friend of ours, called me and asked me to put a team together to play against the state police in honor of Trooper First Class Pelletier, and started researching his life and what happened and all that kind of stuff, where he's from, his son playing at my old Little League and things like that. I started thinking about, what's it like? You commanded, a lot of troopers underneath you. What's it like to be a state trooper or local PD, going to work every day knowing you might not come home? What's that like?
Well, everyone just wants to. We all just want to help somebody. We want to get the job done, do the job, and helping everybody. You don't think too much about the dangers, although you know it's there. It's more of a fraternity, a friendship. And if someone said to me a long time ago, it doesn't matter who you are on the job, they're going to come a million miles an hour to back you up and help you out. So when a trooper sees someone that's hurt on the side of the road, they stop. They're going to help them no matter who they are. And that goes with the EMS, the paramedics, firefighters, all of them, and all the local PDs. They all help each other. They all help whoever needs help. That's the big thing.
Explain to our listeners about Officer Aaron Pelletier.
Aaron Pelletier, he was an outstanding young man. He was a very good kid. Always wanted to be a state trooper, made it about when he was maybe 25, 26. I met Aaron being around town in Southington, 28 years old, and got to know him, got to be pretty good friends with him, spoke to him a lot. He just did a great job. He represented the agency extremely well. That's one of the reasons why he was able to go and represent the agency with his at the FBI task force. You want to send somebody to that job that gets along with people, does great work, and you have to be able to do the work. One, you have to be able to get along with everybody, and you have to represent the agency very well, which he did, all three.
And explain to people, because I'm kind of biased here, but I think Connecticut State Troopers are some of the finest in the country. You guys do like 26 weeks of military-type training. You get to take your cruisers home in case someone, like you said, is broke down on the side of the road or needs your help. You guys can get there as quick as possible and are always looking to help people, whether you're on duty or off duty. So it's kind of a special fraternity being a Connecticut State Trooper, is it not?
The academy is difficult, and they bond. The way the instructors have it formulated, it's so they will bond, and the class bonds. So no matter where you are, every trooper knows who their classmate was, and then where they work, they're closer. And the fact that you have the vehicle, you take the vehicle home, you're always on duty. Whenever you're driving that vehicle, you're representing the state police as well. You stop to help people. You stop to help other troopers. You do the job 24/7, really, and you're always available to come out.
I don't know how much you can talk about this issue, but the reason we're having this charity softball game, the family benefit softball game for Officer Pelletier, as Dib said, yardgoatsbaseball.com. Just go to the special events link. Boom, it's right there. All the proceeds will go to benefit the Pelletier family. Why are we doing this? Why do we have to raise so much money? Because I would feel like, these officers are going to be taken care of if something like this were to happen.
Well, tragically, we lost Aaron, and he wasn't close to retirement, so he doesn't have the benefits of that. To take care of his family and his two young sons, that needs to be done. Unfortunately, that's tragic. But as far as the particulars and the economics, it tries to it supports his family more now.
Yeah. It's definitely a difficult situation. Let me ask you about this as well. when something tragic happens. I know there was another state trooper, the two Bristol police officers. I knew some of the people in the Bristol PD. My mother lives in Bristol. When they were killed in the line of duty, it affects everybody. Like you said, there was people that came, I know, all the way from Alaska to come to Trooper First Class Pelletier's funeral, because that's just kind of a show and to honor somebody and in the profession, because first responders put their lives in danger every day. Talk about that as well, how it affects all of these troopers. And I know there's going to be like 30 troopers. You're playing for my team. There's 30 troopers we're playing against. Talk about how it affects everybody when you lose a cop.
Well, it does. You work with them every day. And like I said, every day people go out there doing the job, and you're not thinking about what could possibly happen. And then, awful as it happens, everyone comes together and supports that. So everyone knows. You go down to Police Week, there's police officers from all around the country and the world that come, and they just support each other. So that's kind of the fraternity, how it gets together. And the same with the firefighters and everyone else. You have to support them. You have to.
I think this is kind of a crazy conversation to have. I'm from Indiana, sir, and when we see the cherries and berries and the lights and the sirens behind us, like, we pull over long before we even see it in our rearview mirror. Like, that's just, I don't know if that's a Midwest thing. Now, I don't want to throw all the Connecticut people under the bus here, but I don't think people in Connecticut do a great job of that. And we're talking about an officer who was on the side of the road doing his job, and that is how he found out, or that we all found out, how he passed away. And we kind of know that story. But I know this is a stupid question, because we know the obvious of why you should be pulled over and give so much room to those officers on the side of the road, or if they're going to be a first responder and they're in pursuit of something. But give us some other stuff that we might not know of why that is so important to give officers so much room when they're pulling someone over on the side of the road.
Well, there's a law that has a move-over law. In the 70s, and if you go on the state police website, they may have it, there was a Lieutenant Carney that was killed. He was hit by a truck. In the 70s, they used to call it dusting a trooper, where the trucks would try to come close and blow the hats off. And he was hit and killed. They actually found the truck, and it was on I-84, and Dr. Lee used some kind of chemical and brought out, you could see the patch, and they have it down that piece of the truck. They have it down at the State Police Academy. So the move-over law is a wonderful thing, and if you can't move over here, I believe you're supposed to slow down or get over out of the way. And you know who else is out there? It's very dangerous, too, are tow truck operators, DOT workers. We just had a DOT worker that was struck and killed.
Right.
So just being out on the highway, the speeds are outrageous. A lot of the local police will say they don't understand how fast the cars come if they don't go up on the highway very often. But then again, the state police don't go into three-family houses in New Haven or in Hartford, too. So it's different situations.
All right, let's talk about our relationship. We're in the same fantasy football league. Your father was an NFL player. Now they called your dad Big John or Big Stavros. How do they?
Oh, Big John.
Big John. Yeah, Big John. So Big John when he was in the NFL back in the 60s. So 6'3" back then was big. I mean, now like 6'6", 6'7" is big. How big was your dad, and when did you realize, hey, my dad's in the NFL? This is pretty cool.
Well, it was, even growing up, it was always funny, you know, when kids would say, oh, my dad can take your dad. I never had that argument, you know. Especially when we were younger, because when I was younger, you know, as you know, when they finished playing ball, he played at 275, but they lied down the weight a lot, and he was a big runner. So he was probably 360 when I was a kid. So he was like a Coke machine. He was huge, 6'3", 375. That's why I'm so polite, Rob.
Because you can be when you're as big as you.
What was that era like? Like, we've been talking to a lot of the old baseball players that Dibbs is friends with, and, man, like, the training is completely different than what it is now compared to what it was then. Just diet, sleep, everything.
Right.
Like, what were some of the things that you know about the NFL and football today that was totally not even in the conversation with your dad playing in the 60s?
They didn't lift weights. They were big runners. And there was a few that lifted weights. My father would say towards the end of his career, he'd start doing a little bit of weights here and there. So he ran a lot. I know he ran a sub 5-minute mile.
Nice.
Damn.
At that size. Yeah, that size.
Right. And they would measure their body parts, too. He had like 25-inch calves. I remember him telling me that. But one of his best friends was like the biggest guy in the league. He was 6'9", like 280. His name was Doug Atkins, and he was just enormous. But these guys were just so tough. I mean, when my father would say, "Oh, Ernie Startner," we'd be watching TV when we were kids. He was the line coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He goes, "Ernie Startner, he was tough." When my father said someone was tough, I would be like, "Oh my God." You know?
We're talking to Stavros Mellekas, former commander of the Connecticut State Police. All right, so we're in the same fantasy football league. You seem to always go towards one of the teams your dad played for. He played for the Eagles, 49ers, and the Bears. You always like to draft a lot of Chicago Bears. You got some pretty good Chicago Bears staff this year that you can draft. So are you excited about the Chicago Bears in 2024?
I am. I think they got a lot of speed and the wideouts. The game is so wide open now, and the defensive backs have a very difficult time, it looks like, and the quarterback's so protected he cannot be struck. So, like when my father played there, they would break face masks. They could tackle by the face mask. That's why he had so much respect for Jim Brown. He said Jim Brown was the toughest and the best running back you've ever seen.
I always love picking people's brains before they do their draft because everyone's got a different opinion. I think this year is more unique than most. But what would be, like, let's say you get the first pick. I just always love to know who's everyone's first overall pick if they were to have it this year.
I think it's McCaffrey, but I would pass on the 1. I like the 9. Chris Ganser, our commissioner, runs it late, and we already know where we're picking. I'm at the 9 spot, and I'm excited about that because I can watch the guys that are really good, like Messi or Uncle Jay Festa, and then see what they need when they go around the corner and they get the turnaround,
Yeah, and by the way, Jay Festa was in my wedding party, so nice. I've known these guys for so long.
Nice. They're the best. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and we give each other a lot of crap. Explain that, too, because most of the state police guys that you've worked with, they've gone on to be cops everywhere else in the state, too. So there's so many, like Chris Ganser works for Quinnipiac, some of these other guys. Mike Roach is the head of the Oxford PD and stuff like that. Festa used to work in Easton after he was a state trooper. So explain that, too. There's probably a lot of state troopers that are in the local PDs right now.
So when we came on, you could retire in 20 years. So they get hired at say, 21, 22, and they can retire by 42, 43, 44. And then they keep their certification. They go right to the local PDs.
I want to know this because this softball game, and we are playing slow pitch, so Dibs can't plunk anybody. Again,
my brother will be pitching. By the way,
okay,
I don't pitch.
Good.
You get killed pitching to these. I gather I've heard the state police, by the way, Stav, that these guys are pretty good and they want a piece of us.
Oh, it's going to be interesting. Those young men are going to be playing very, they'll be very intense, and I don't know what you're going to get out of me. Not too much, I don't think. But.
Well, that was going to be my question.
Yeah, but nobody's going to bother you. That's the thing. I'll stand close to you.
YardGoatsBaseball.com, the Pelletier Family Benefit Softball Game. Again, all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds go to the Pelletier family. This is Saturday, August 24th. Gates are at 2. Game will start at 3 o'clock. You know this is like a legit minor league field. Like the bases are very far apart. The outfield is humongous. Like you're ready for this, right?
Oh yeah. I'll be ready, but I don't know what's going to happen. But
no, I think a lot of us don't. I do have a couple of young people. Davina Hernandez is going to be on our team.
All right.
Justin Guerrera is going to be on our team.
All right.
We need some actual young people to play for us, Stavros.
Those are ringers right there.
Thank you. Hey, I'm no dummy. I'm the head of my team. So what are you doing now with yourself?
I work for my family. We're doing some property management and a lot of things like that.
All right. So what was like growing up in your Greek house in Rhode Island, like holidays and stuff like that? What are the? Because I'm married to my second Italian wife, so I know how Italian Christmases are and stuff like that. What's like a Greek Thanksgiving or a Greek Christmas like?
A lot of cousins that are like your brothers and sisters, and always looking out for you. My uncles were like my father, and then everybody was right there for you. So you had a lot of people looking out for you.
How did they discover your father? Because he goes to Arizona, right? Like how are they finding him in Rhode Island as a football player?
Well, here's a funny thing. He's born and raised in Newport, but for some reason, my grandfather moved to San Diego, and it would have been my father's senior year, the summer before his senior year. So he was all city in San Diego, and he got offered scholarships on the West Coast. He came back, and he played one game in Rhode Island, and he was all state in Rhode Island, and he had Boston College looking at him. But he really wanted to go to Southern Cal, but he didn't have the grades, and they had a big thing with junior colleges at the time, and Arizona really hooked him up.
That's fantastic.
Didn't have the grades
That's crazy.
for Southern Cal.
In the 60s.
Yeah, much different. Much different
Exactly.
these days.
You are
Right.
wonderful, Stavros. Thank you so much for giving us a few
Thank
minutes
you, Rob.
today.
Thank you for everything.
No
Thanks
no
for helping
problem,
out
brother.
here,
And can't wait to see you on the 24th,
Can't
man.
wait for it.
All right.
Thanks a million.
Stavros Mellekas, everybody. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, do the first dibs question of the day.
91